Welcome to Sara Gonzales Unfiltered. Thank God it's finally Friday for multiple reasons I won't get into. Anywho, welcome to the show, Eric July, Blaze TV contributor and, of course, founder of Rippaverse Comics, who knows all my dirty little secrets that we talk about right before we go on air.
Yeah, it's always fun.
Yeah, I know. Often I'm like, we should just be rolling in between these breaks, and it would either get me fired really quickly or people would realize it's exactly how it is on air as it is off air here on the set of Sara Gonzales Unfiltered. But I'm glad that you're here to go through the headlines with me today. Specifically, this one was so good. So good, because yesterday evening, the left was like, they've been foaming at the mouth, chomping at the bit to try to connect President Trump to Jeffrey Epstein. Now, remember, they had 4 years of a Democrat president where if there was anything there, if there was any there, do you think the guys who, my opinion, tried to assassinate him, at least tried to wage lawfare against him, tried to, the mental gymnastics that were required to try to charge him with the felonies in New York City and all of the, if there was anything that they could have hung around Donald Trump's neck, they would have. Mm-hmm. And yet we heard nothing the entirety of Joe Biden's presidency. And now all of a sudden they want to try to tie him to Jeffrey Epstein. And so there was an article that was published by the Wall Street Journal, and they said that President Trump, they had uncovered this very salacious detail that President Trump wrote Jeffrey Epstein a birthday letter back in 2003 from this 50th birthday album that allegedly Ghislaine Maxwell put together. And so they said that in this letter, President Trump drew a naked woman and signed Donald across her groin, resembling pubic hair. So now Donald Trump all of a sudden is an artist. Not just a regular artist, okay, but like a graphic artist, and not the graphic novels that you're used to, Eric. Not that type of graphic. All right. Or I don't know. Can you see that type of graphic in Rippaverse?
No.
Okay. All right.
I don't see that happening for any.
So a different graphic artistry. And so now remember, anytime anything like this comes out, there's a weird dossier that alleges that Donald Trump pees on Russian prostitutes. That it's all these weird details. They're like, listen, we can't show you the evidence, we can't tell you our sources, but just trust us, bro. Is the type of sourcing that they are giving us here. Same thing goes here. They're not going to show us the letter. You can't actually see it. They're just going to describe it to you. And you just can be rest assured that what they're telling you is the ultimate truth. And what they said it said was, happy birthday, and may every day be another wonderful secret. Now, it went on. I don't know. Do we have any of the rest of it here? No. That would have been cool to have, guys. So it went on. It was like this back and forth conversation that President Trump had with Jeffrey Epstein. And President Trump, in response to that, is now saying it's fake news. Fake news, and I'm going to sue. He said, this is not me. This is a fake thing. It's a fake Wall Street Journal story. I never wrote a picture in my life. I don't draw pictures of women. It's not my language. It's not my words. And he is going to sue the Wall Street Journal, Rupert Murdoch. He said, I told Rupert Murdoch that it was a scam. He shouldn't print this fake story, but he did. And now I'm going to sue his ass off and that of his third-rate newspaper. Thank you for your attention to this matter, DJT. So now you have President Trump. And listen, I believe him. That doesn't sound at all like a thing that President Trump would do. But this is par for the course with the legacy media, the dying legacy media, is like, it doesn't have to be true. We can just accuse him of something. We can concoct this weird story with random details that we shouldn't have, and people will just believe us. And unfortunately for them, A, nobody's believing their bullshit anymore. And B, President Trump is not the type to take this lying down. He's like, no, I'll just sue you.
Look, this whole story with Jeffrey Epstein, the lack thereof of like details as far as providing what, really the people want surrounding this has been very, very I mean, interesting to say the least. I mean, to your point, with them having control of the presidency, at least the authoritarian left, you would think they would have done it in that window. But then I'm set to remember, like, okay, what exactly are we dealing with? And is this a case where, even let's assume, like, I'm not saying that that's true, but even if we assume that it was true, is this a case of where it brings down the entire house of cards? And there's so many other people that are going to be implicated as well, which is why they're kind of, it's not that they're touch and go. They're just little like, oh, we have the information or we don't have the information. In their case, they're saying they have the information, but trust me, which of course isn't going to be good enough. And yeah, if you do accuse someone of something that egregious, well, you for sure had better have something to back that up. Jeffrey Epstein, man. Like I said, this story isn't going away. I've been talking about this extensively now for a minute, and how I don't think this is one of those cases of everybody just going to kind of just forget and move on with their lives. I think people want answers, and it's justified that they're going to want answers. Now, unfortunately, with anything that you're dealing with, the access media types are going to always try to use it in a way that's more advantageous to them. And especially in this day and age of headlines and newspapers, where that's how they really get their money. It's ad clicks and stuff like that. So having something that, people are going to really, really click on this, even if they only half-ass read it, that's advantageous to them. And that's more what they care about, not really about, okay, revealing all, which is what people want. Right. Like we said on a show earlier this week, look, if it did implicate Donald Trump, okay, whatever, put the shit out there, but provide the evidence regardless of who it does bring down. People want answers. Now, it is of my belief, and this is a little bit of a side note, but on the same subject, it is of my belief that they're all in on it, because, when I went down that rabbit hole that is Jeffrey Epstein, and you look at who was all involved. He was first charged during the Bush administration for sex trafficking, but albeit he got that sweetheart deal with Alex Acosta being in charge. Pam Bondi also during that time was like, wasn't she like the AG of Florida as well?
Yes.
Look, it's so many people that are connected to this nonsense, and I don't think it's a party. I think it's like, well, for some reason. And again, I'm not saying that X person is on the list or on the client list. I'm not saying that, but it does seem that people of both parties, right, of many different types of world leaders, of many different business owners, are all part of this, are all in on this. And if the information gets out, what it sounds like, I'm not saying I'm even correct on that note. I'm just looking at how touchy they are on this subject matter. Mm-hmm. It sounds like if one person gets revealed, they all get revealed. Mm-hmm. And that's why they're so tight, holding it close to the chest about what's actually being revealed regarding this information, especially understanding that we know that there are co-conspirators that are outside of just Maxwell. When you're trafficking, you're dealing with multiple individuals. Who are those individuals? That's all the people want. You want justice for those that are involved, obviously, especially with them being minors at the time. You want justice for them, but the people simply want to know, is their country, is the business that they support, is the leader that they support part of a cabal of evil pieces of crap? That's all. Right. They want to know, and they deserve to know that. Yeah. That's my position on it.
Well, the tone of this administration has very severely changed since this. Now, whether or not the timing is connected, I will leave up for people to, there's nothing you can do except speculate. We have absolutely no evidence to suggest either way, but the timing is suspicious. But I want to go through some of the details here that weren't in my prep here. It says it contains several lines of typewritten text framed by the outline of a naked woman, which appears to be hand-drawn with a heavy marker. A pair of small arcs denotes the woman's breasts, and the future president's signature is a squiggly Donald below her waist, mimicking pubic hair. And then it says that it included, tell me if you think that this sounds like Trump, okay? The Wall Street Journal reported that Trump's birthday message also included an imagined conversation between Trump and Epstein. So President Trump not only is all of a sudden an artiste.
He's a script writer.
Thank you. He's a dirty artist, and he is a script writer now. Mm-hmm. And he is writing this imaginary script between him and Jeffrey Epstein. And so in this supposed letter, it says, voiceover, "There must be more to life than having everything," the note began. Donald, yes, there is, but I won't tell you what it is. Jeffrey, nor will I, since I also know what it is. Donald, we have certain things in common, Jeffrey. Jeffrey, yes, we do, come to think of it. Donald, enigmas never age. Have you noticed that? Jeffrey, as a matter of fact, it was clear to me the last time I saw you. Trump, a pal is a wonderful thing. Happy birthday, and may every day be another wonderful secret. See, that's the context that people need to know. It's fine, I pulled it up myself. So, does this sound at all like the Donald Trump?
No.
No. He's all of a sudden some brilliant scriptwriter who's imagining some conversation between he and Jeffrey Epstein that he wants to all of a sudden put in writing to put in his 50th birthday book that he's like, enigmas never age. Have you noticed that? And the account 3 or Letterman on X, of course, pointed out, right, there's just no way that these two things were written by the same person. You have the script that I just gave you that's very totally false. And then, of course, you have a tweet by President Trump from 2011. Barney Frank looked disgusting, nipples protruding in his blue shirt before Congress. Very, very disrespectful. Like, guys, this is not even believable at this point. And remember, Eric, all of what I just told you, you can't actually read for yourself. They're not going to show you a copy of it. You can't read it for yourself. Just take it from us. Trust us, bro. He really did write this. He wrote an imagined conversation between he and Jeffrey Epstein because allegedly they were best friends. So why couldn't he just have that conversation with him? Not just write an imagined conversation. Who knows? But they want you to know that he definitely wrote that. And by the way, after all of that happened, President Trump all of a sudden instructed Pam Bondi to go ahead and go through these files that he said he sent her to control room. Do we have that Truth Social? Yeah, pull it up, please. Based on the ridiculous amount of publicity given to Jeffrey Epstein, I have asked Attorney General Pam Bondi to produce any and all pertinent grand jury testimony subject to court approval. This scam perpetuated by the Democrats should end right now. Now, I'm not here to tell you that this was not totally bungled, that this has not been a debacle since day one, because if there were, like, what? You told us there were files, then you told us there were no files. Now all of a sudden we're back to having files again. Although he's talking about grand jury testimony, which would not be the same as the Epstein client files necessarily. So maybe he's talking about two different things. But the point is, you guys told us that there was no there before you told us that there, or after you told us that there was a there. And now we're back to, okay, we're going to release the information. Where the is it?
Yeah, that's all.
We need it right now.
Yeah.
Go ahead and throw up Pam Bondi's tweet there. Thank you, Stu. And she said, President Trump, we are ready to move the court. What does that say? The court tomorrow. Thank you. We are ready to move the court tomorrow to unseal the grand jury transcripts. So that was, of course, yesterday. So I'm sure probably right as the time that this show is starting, they're going to release some shit.
Yeah, it's on her desk.
How it happens.
She's looking at them right now. The documents are on her desk. So we'll get them. Yeah. We'll get them soon, and they'll be clarified. Look, yeah, to your point, it has been an absolute debacle in how they've handled it. I don't know if this is a situation where he had his hand forced. And I'm going to be completely honest, I don't care. Like, people just want the information. Like, whether he's doing it under pressure or not, like, I don't really get in the weeds of all that shit because I don't care. Ultimately, we just want it out there. Like, tell the people the absolute truth. Nobody's believing this official narrative of, well, because, look, okay, this has been with Jeffrey Epstein, this has been a process, okay? And that's the context that I think all the American people are looking at and why you can't just sit up there and tell them, well, there's nothing to see.
Right.
Jeffrey Epstein, for years, was around as a financer. Random financer was around some of the most powerful people on the planet all the time, including Trump. Again, not just a finance guy, around all of these people. Does that mean that everybody that was around him was also participating in sex trafficking? No.
Of course not.
Nobody's suggesting that.
No.
I have a hard time believing that some of them weren't, but I'm not going to say everybody that was in the background of a picture that he was in also knew that he was a piece of crap, right? I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that, well, looking at that, he is a financier that for whatever reason was around all of these powerful people. What reason was he able to be around all of these powerful people? And then looking at a guy who was charged with sex trafficking when I was still in high school, by the way, due to whatever I forget the name of that operation that they ran on him, and initially in 2007, which again was under the Bush administration, randomly. I mean, you're talking a heinous crime, child sex trafficking. I believe all that he got in terms of that sweetheart deal was 13 months for child sex trafficking. Well, that seems a little weird, don't you think? Right? And then you look at all the people, which again, Alex Acosta, I keep seeing the same damn names, okay? Alex Acosta was a part of that whole shit. 2017, he gets brought into this administration. Pam Bondi was AG in Florida doing a lot of this bullshit. She's brought into it. So I have a hard time believing that she doesn't know anything that's up. I know Alex does for sure, knows something stinks to high hell. People just want the information. And I don't give a rat's ass if it's R next to this person's name that ends up being a piece of crap alongside Epstein, or they have D next to the name, a I, a L, I don't care. Green, I don't care. I don't think most people give a crap about any of that. They just want, I mean, because you look at how it's not even scummy. Like when I think of among some of the worst people in the world, to go out there and traffic children, it's hard for me to think of someone that's worse than that.
I agree with you, but the only way that I would disagree with you, and I think actually it's probably not a disagreement, because I think that you would say the same thing, is that everyone does want the answers. The difference is Republicans, by and large, conservatives, libertarians, whatever, not Democrats, would say, if Donald Trump is on there, I think that he should be prosecuted.
Absolutely.
I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's our president. I don't care who it is. I think that they should be prosecuted because that is disgusting and dirty. However, you do have the other side who constantly, I mean, they don't Bill Clinton anyone, right? You've got Bill Clinton. They don't care at all.
With him and weird shit that was in.
That's what I'm saying. And they want to completely give him a pass for everything that he's been
we knew
heavily
he flew
suspected
we knew
of.
that it's subjective. Like we knew he was flying on the shit. Kevin Spacey even admitted that.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. And they want to give their people a pass for all of these things that we actually have way more evidence that these guys actually committed these heinous crimes with Jeffrey Epstein. They want to give their people a pass, and they want to focus on some bullshit, imagined conversation, totally made up between Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein.
Without having to provide evidence.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it just pisses me off because it feels like, I mean, what you're saying is true for us. It doesn't matter who is on that list. It doesn't matter who did it. We want to know. We want the information because it's disgusting. I don't care who you are. We are dealing with another party, an opposing party who does not feel that way.
Well, and I also think that that's also a part of why they are trying to zero in on, well, no, they're making accusations without having to provide the proof.
Right.
When I look at that, again, not saying I'm correct, to your point, you brought this up earlier, all we can do is speculate. When I look at that, I see that if you're not willing to put this information forth, you're just asking us to trust your word on it, you must also be in possession of something that damns the folks that you're near as well, right? Mm-hmm. What they're attempting to do, again, this is just what I'm picking up on, is see how they can weasel their way into damaging him, right?
Yep.
And that's it.
Don't look at what's going on over here. Pay attention to this.
Exactly.
Exactly what they're doing.
Right. Just to try to damage him, but while also not having to damage everybody else that also might be implicated. And that's bullshit.
Right. So on that note, so let's go ahead. We're going to take a break. And then when we come back, I want to talk about another just completely made up leftist narrative that they want to, look, we promised Donald Trump is actually doing this, that Donald Trump has been vindicated on. Once again, we'll get into that after the break. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Patriot Mobile. So Patriot Mobile is there for those of you who, you maybe you're still paying Big Mobile for your service. And I don't know why you're doing that, because they're actually taking a portion of your money. You know how many times I see T-Mobile and some of these other service providers at all of the trans festivals, gay pride festivals. They are like putting trans flag tattoos on little kids and stuff. I mean, it's disgusting, but they are taking a portion of your money and donating it to causes that if you're watching the show and you like the show, if you're hate watching the show, maybe you're totally for that. If you're not hate watching the show, then this is stuff that you are fighting against. What you can do is go over to Patriot Mobile's website. They're patriots, just like you guys. They believe in the Constitution. They believe in our founding documents, and they're actually putting their money where their mouths are. They are flipping school boards across the country. They are, working to help with our Second Amendment rights, our First Amendment rights, and so much more. They're down at the border with Yakubuyans fighting sex trafficking. They are true patriots. They are the only conservative Christian wireless provider, and they've got an all US-based customer support team standing by to take care of you. You can go to patriotmobile.com/Sarah. Odds are they're going to save you money. So all I'm telling you to do, I'm not telling you have to sign up right now. Go to patriotmobile.com/Sarah. Go look at what the plan that you want. Go look at how much it's going to cost you compared to what you're paying now. By the way, you can use promo code Sarah for a free month of service. Go to a company that supports you, that doesn't hate you and actually supports you. patriotmobile.com/Sarah. Use promo code Sarah. All right, before I forget, those of you who are, maybe you're watching on YouTube, maybe you're not watching on YouTube, but the point is, regardless of where you're watching, go over to YouTube and make sure to subscribe to Sara Gonzales Unfiltered. Smash the like button while you're watching this video. It will help us in the algorithm, which we all know is stacked against us because we're still on the list. Whatever the hell the list is, we're still on it. We just are. By the way, comment. Let us know what you think of this show. Let us know what you think of this particular subject, this particular story that I saw before we came on today. And I was just like, oh my gosh. We all knew it, but it's nice to finally hear it from a credible source here. So speaking of the left just completely making shit up about Donald Trump, you had the Russian collusion hoax that they perpetuated for, we just talked about this with Adam Schiff the other day. They perpetuated for literal years. I would tell you that it was only 2 years. However, it was actually longer than that because you could probably point back to like within the last couple of months, some dumbass from, MSDNC or whatever has gone on there and still brought up the Russian collusion hoax, which we knew we paid millions of dollars in this special investigation. 2 years, they peddled this lie. Adam Schiff went out there and told everybody that he was privy to this information on his particular committee, that he knew that Donald Trump was going to be going down really, really soon because of his collusion with Vladimir Putin over in Russia. And it's just that it was all total bullshit. It was totally made up. And you have Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard today releasing evidence that President Barack Obama personally requested the Russian collusion hoax. So they knew, the United States government knew that there was no Russian involvement on Donald Trump's part in the 2016 election. By the way, they said, we assess that Russian and criminal actors did not impact the U.S. election results by conducting malicious cyber activities against election infrastructure. But Obama continued with the Russian collusion investigations, allegations. Again, you had high-ranking lawmakers who went on television explaining how Donald Trump was definitely colluding with Vladimir Putin. They knew that it was fake the entire time, and they still went out there and told everyone that it was true. These people are evil. These are evil people, and they are not to be trusted.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty massive news there. And look, the way that I see Obama, and really this does nothing but confirm what I initially thought. I think he, if nothing else, that election that he had, though I do believe that the Clintons are really powerful and they are looked at often as like the Democrat, I think Obama has eclipsed him. I think he is the one that really pulls the strings a lot with what that party is going to do, definitely going into the future. Even though it does seem like, though he's podcasting and stuff now, again, with his wife, where apparently there's none of those
Yeah, isn't he talking about? He's talking about how every man should have a gay guy, a gay friend.
Nah, I'm good on that. But
sounds kind of gay to me.
But no, I think he's in charge. I think Obama is in charge, and this does nothing but prove that. Look, we already knew the Russia collusion hoax. It never really made any sort of sense, especially now when you see that they're at, Trump and Putin are at odds right now, especially with regards to what's happening out there in Ukraine. So it never made quite any sense. But that's what the left is particularly really good at, in making shit that makes absolutely no sense, and being able to milk that for everything they can get out of it. It's meant to damage your reputation, and especially if there's an election that's around the corner, or there's public opinion that they're trying to sway in order to have more people adopt their worldview, if you will, then that's what they do. So to your point, they're evil. They're just dirty, right? They oftentimes know that they're lying, but that's politics, is it not? It's you say and you do what's advantageous to you, and it's not necessarily about telling the truth. It's about who you can convince. And that story did gain a lot of legs. Still to this day, you have a lot of parents that just say it, instinctively, right? It's almost like a reflex that they just say it because they need something to try to. I mean, look, Trump has his flaws, and we've talked about it on this show, and I know I certainly have over the years, and it's flaws, but they have an inability to grill him on any of that stuff. They have to pull stuff out of the crack of their behind, right? Like they did with that, and they ran with it. They ran. It never made sense. If you look at what was being discussed, in that, Trump is working with regard to, election and public opinion. He's working with Putin and the Russians because reasons, essentially, was all that it was. Because reasons.
Yep.
Didn't make sense. It's just because reasons. But I mean,
well, especially when it was more advantageous for Vladimir Putin to have Hillary Clinton in office, was what a lot of people like.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Donald Trump was not going to be his bestie.
Well, that's the thing, and I mean, again, you see that right now with what's happening in with
Russia and Ukraine,
where basically Russia's like, go F yourself, right? To
invade Crimea. Whose watch did that happen on?
Yeah.
Oops, Obama's.
Right.
Decided to invade again? Whose watch did that happen on?
Biden.
Oops, Joe Biden.
Right.
He skipped that time when Donald Trump was president because he knew not to with them.
Well, yeah, they're at odds, and it's one of those things that, yeah, if we are just talking from a strictly political perspective, it does seem that, at least for what Putin wants to do over there in the region, it does seem like it benefits him to have those types of guys in office anyway, as opposed to a Trump. Again, this isn't about whether you're pro or anti, how he's handled the Russia-Ukraine stuff. I'm just saying, objectively speaking, if you don't even have to look into the past. Look into right now what's happening. They're at odds.
Yeah.
They are at odds. It doesn't sound like a guy that he's working with.
Right, exactly. So Tulsi Gabbard, I highly suggest you guys go and read her entire thread here over on X. But she said, Americans will finally learn the truth about how in 2016, intelligence was politicized and weaponized by the most powerful people in the Obama administration to lay the groundwork for what was essentially a years-long coup against President Donald Trump, subverting the will of the American people and undermining our democratic republic. And so she has this like flow chart of what happened. They had the real intel assessment, and then Donald Trump won, and then they pulled that intel assessment and the briefing. They had this secret Russia meeting, and then there was an Obama order that the IC begins outlining new assessment to claim that the election was hacked. I mean, they went through it. This was all part of their plan. She says, for months preceding the 2016 election, the intelligence community, IC, shared a consensus view Russia lacked the intent and capability to hack. And then after President Trump won, all of a sudden they changed it. They prepared an assessment that Russia didn't impact it. And then they pulled that assessment. It says before it could reach the president, Obama, it was abruptly pulled based on new guidance. This key intelligence assessment was never published. The next day, top national security officials, including FBI Director James Comey, CIA Director John Brennan, and DNI James Clapper, gathered at the Obama White House to discuss Russia. Obama directed the IC to create a new intelligence assessment that detailed Russian election meddling, even though it would contradict multiple intelligence assessments released over the previous several months. Obama officials immediately leaned on their allies in the media to advance their falsehoods.
Absolutely.
That is who those people are. That is exactly who those people are. They get the memo from their buddies at the Obama administration, and they don't give a if it's true. They're going to print it, and they're going to continue going over the, can I have another pet? That's who those people are. And so they had anonymous IC sources that leaked classified information to WAPO and others that Russia had intervened to hack the election in Trump's favor. And then you have, of course, what you already know happened. After President Trump, won and days before he took office, DNI Clapper unveiled the Obama-directed politicized assessment, a gross weaponization of intelligence that laid the groundwork for a years-long coup intended to subvert President Trump's entire presidency. And according to whistleblower emails shared with us, we know Clapper and Brennan used the baseless, discredited Steele dossier as a source to push this false narrative in the intelligence assessment. So all of this, of course, she categorizes it as a treasonous conspiracy. I completely agree with her, by the way. All of this was all concocted. The Steele dossier was concocted. That was, of course, what I referenced earlier with Donald Trump enjoyed golden showers over in Russia with random Russian prostitutes. Yeah, right. The germaphobe, does that strike you as the type who just likes Russian hookers peeing all over him? That doesn't sound preposterous to you? Oh, probably because it's completely made up, as was the Russian hoax, the Russian conspiracy hoax by President Obama and his administration. And these people just keep getting away with it. And that's what makes me so freaking crazy. It's like, okay, I agree with you, Tulsi, that this is a treasonous conspiracy by officials at the highest levels of the Obama White House.
Prison?
Exactly.
That's the answer. That we know, that's what we need. We need to know, is anybody going to go to prison? Because, okay, and it's not just with this situation. We know that there is a fraud that's happening, and it's widespread. And these folks will say and do whatever they need to if it's politically advantageous to them at the time. No matter if it means jacking up the country in the process, derailing this political process that they want the American people to have so much faith in. They don't care. It doesn't work at the time. And oftentimes it does, right? It does. They get away with it. And yes, we already knew that access media types, they have historically, and they especially are now, just a wing of the Democratic Party, right? With few exceptions. They're just a wing of the Democratic Party. Whatever they need them to say, whatever they need to be perpetuated and planted into the minds of the American people, they run that through them. And it happened. We know that this is something that happens when government gets to working with these private institutions to try to form these various narratives. We saw that with COVID. We saw that with Twitter files. We saw that we know this is exactly what they do. Unfortunately, nothing seems to happen when it's revealed that, well, factually, it's not speculation anymore. We know there's a paper trail of you doing exactly that. So now what?
Yep.
It's like, what are we going to do with that information? And that's what people, I think, care about, because we already knew. Thanks for the confirmation. We already knew that they were doing that. So now what? So we know all these folks that are involved with it. Anybody going to be charged with anything?
Right.
Is anybody going to prison?
Right.
And if not, telling us doesn't do us much good.
It almost just
makes it worse almost. It's like, damn, now we know for a stone cold fact. At least we could just speculate before. Yeah. Now we know there's like more evidence for it, and you're not going to do anything?
Exactly. And then it just gives us more frustration that, wow, it just seems like there are a bunch of elitists in the United States government who seem to be able to get away with murder and nothing happens to them. But I run a red light and I get punished.
Oh, I run a red, do anything regarding your business. Like, it doesn't matter. You're going to be the first one to make sure that you go under.
Can I tell you what happened to me before we go to break?
Oh, yes.
I was driving my car on July 4th, and I'm sure the cops were looking for drunk people to pull over. And this state trooper whipped around and pulled me over, and I was like, I know for a fact I was not speeding. I had picked up my son, and I was just driving through, getting to my parents, and he's like, you don't have a front license plate. And I'm like, you really thought that was like, that's really a legitimate reason to pull me over because I don't have a front license plate, because I know for a fact you didn't pull me over from the front. You whipped around and pulled me over from the back where you already saw my license plate. And here in Texas, you're supposed to have a front license plate, and there's no way in hell I'm drilling 2 holes in the front of my car to put a license plate. So I was just like, okay, sir, you have a wonderful July 4th. Thank you so much for pulling me over. Now, he did give me a warning. So, like, thanks for giving me a warning and not a ticket. I was like, I was in my husband's car, too. So I'm like, I'm in my husband's car. Like, what do you want from me?
Right.
But I'm just like, oh, okay. I get pulled over for not having a front license plate. And these people are getting away with all sorts of stuff.
Actual crimes.
Right. And, like, no one's held accountable. It's just so frustrating.
It is.
Anyway, all right. Let's go ahead and take a quick break. And you're going to be, Eric, I have devastating, really, really sad news for you when we return. We're gonna try to get through this. I can't even get my words together. I'm so sad. I don't know if you heard the news about Stephen Colbert. He had a really big announcement at the beginning of his show last night. Listen.
Before we start the show, I want to let you know something that I found out just last night. Next year will be our last season. The network will be ending The Late Show in May. And... Yeah, I share your feelings. It's not just the end of our show, but it's the end of The Late Show on CBS. I'm not being replaced. This is all just going away. We get to do this show for each other every day, all day.
Yeah.
And I've had the pleasure and the responsibility of sharing what we do every day with you in front of this camera for the last 10 years. And let me tell you, it is a fantastic job. I wish somebody else was getting it. And it's a job that I'm looking forward to doing with this usual gang of idiots for another 10 months.
He's gone. We lost him. He's gone, Eric.
I know.
He's gone.
Funny thing is, then they come out and they said that they did it strictly for financial reasons.
They did.
So who was that was griping about, like, oh, if it was politics, we need to know if they were doing it for politics? I can't remember. It was some.
Well, several of them.
Yeah.
But you had Adam Schiff.
Yeah, it was Schiff. That's who it was. That's what I'm thinking.
He wasn't even the only one, but he said if Paramount and CBS, because, you know, Paramount.
Uber right wing.
Yes, if Paramount and CBS ended The Late Show for political reasons, the public deserves to know and deserves better. And then you had Elizabeth Warren, who said CBS canceled Colbert's show. There's just 3 days after Colbert called out CBS parent company Paramount for its $16 million settlement with Trump, a deal that looks like bribery. America deserves to know if his show was canceled for political reasons. So... Now she's trying to say that she is investigating. She is investigator Elizabeth Warren on the case. Here's what we know. Trump sued CBS. CBS called the lawsuit meritless. Paramount, owner of CBS, still settled, handing $16 million plus to Trump's library. Paramount has $1 billion deal that needs Trump's approval. So she's saying, she's of course insinuating that Paramount wants to please President Trump because they need his approval to buy CBS. And so they are, of course, catering to Donald Trump. No evidence to suggest that. But again, as with the last 2 segments, that is how the left operates. It doesn't matter if it's true.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if they have a modicum of evidence. They'll just say it anyway.
Yeah. Mainstream.
Did you like that Elizabeth Warren impression?
Yeah, that was perfect. You did a fantastic job, by the way.
Good.
But with the corporate media, look, they suck. It's just the bottom line. All these shows, they don't really get any sort of viewership. Maybe they're on in an airport or something like that, and you know it's kind of on autopilot. There's nobody.
Isn't it not even fair that they get to count that?
It's BS.
Yeah.
All the numbers are BS. And if you're an advertiser, I don't know how you're not saying like this is a load of crap, right? That this is like basically in the background of some a
like
gym or something like
in
that.
Their seats at the airport waiting for their flight.
and it just happens to be on. It's stuff like like that with all these various shows and networks to boost their numbers. But when it comes to like actual live viewers, how many people are really going out of their way to watch Stephen Colbert, especially in this day and age? They're not. Look, you go look at the ratings. Don't take my word for anything. That thing should have been shut down a long time ago, right? That show should have been. And it's not just his, to be fair. They're all over the place. All of them are crap. And there are people that are going to YouTube watching streamers that are bringing in more viewership than any of these guys, and that's really what has happened. And it is a relatively new thing, a new phenomenon over the last, especially let's say 5 years, especially during COVID, where you really saw that start to take off. People are how they're consuming media has fundamentally changed, and it's not simply through a network or cable TV. People are getting the news. People are getting their comedy. Hell, I can even speak for myself as far as the show that I was doing, with 4K in a second, how big that was at its peak when I was doing the show every single day. People are just bringing in more viewers, like all of my guys, like our Friday Night Tight show, which is today at 3 p.m. That's 15,000 to 20,000 people watching that every week, right? Like live, not just like after the fact, like watching it when it's on, right? And not including the folks after the fact. They're getting destroyed. You saw a lot of those guys during the COVID years, remember, including Stephen Colbert, and how terrible when they tried to basically do what the streamers were doing, and it was just bad. It was terrible because they, without their writers and having all access to them, they're not personable people. They suck. Yeah. So it's not just going to be him. I think over the next 2 to 3 years, you're going to see a lot of these guys you've seen on TV for a while start to go away, because there's no real demand for them. They have been getting away with, again, being part of some network that were, had deals with a gym or a airport or what have you, and they're boosting your numbers because nobody is going. Who in the hell? I'm willing to bet. Anywhere you live, I don't even care if it's LA, go walk down the street and ask 50 people, have you ever gone out of your way to watch the late night with Stephen Colbert or whatever? And they're probably going to be like, I don't even know what channel that comes on.
Yeah.
CBS?
Yeah.
Comedy. So what channel does that? They don't know.
They don't know.
They have absolutely no idea because nobody's going out of their way to watch that shit, guaranteed. So they did right, and it was hilarious that they came out and flat out been, look, it's doing it for financial reasons. You're not bringing in the money.
Right.
So what's that?
Oh my gosh. Well,
sucks to suck.
It sucks to suck, literally. Speaking of that, I can't imagine why they pulled the plug on this quality show. Here's Stephen Colbert in a 4-part story. Watch.
Donald Trump has been sworn in as president of the United States. I know. Listen, we're just as confused as you are. Joe Biden did it. I sat down and just started crying with relief. And Evie said, you never have to talk about him again.
Gay.
And then I cried with joy.
Gay.
After a bizarre and vicious campaign fueled by a desperate need not to go to jail, Donald Trump has won the 2024 election.
Wait, that's not...
Next year will be our last season. The network will be ending The Late Show in May.
Oh.
Like, I know that's 8 years, and I guess that's semi-significant, but just looking at how much he aged from 2017 to 2025, holy shit.
It ages you.
Wow.
He's not drinking the adrenochrome, I guess. I don't know. All right, let's go ahead and take a quick break, and we will be back with, oh man, I can't wait to get to the story. We'll be right back. Well, Coldplay is going viral, and it's not Coldplay the band, by the way, in case you had forgotten who that was. And it's not because of any of their songs. It's actually because of a kiss cam moment that happened Wednesday night at one of their concerts. If we could just play that, please.
Yeah. Oh, look at these two. All right, come on. You're okay?
Uh-oh.
Oh, what?
Uh-oh.
Either they're having an affair or they're just very shy.
Well, spoiler alert, they were having an affair. And apparently they were identified as Andy Byron, the CEO of Astronomer, which is an AI and data company, and his head of HR, Kristen Cabot. So this man is married, took his mistress who is supposed to be HR, which, by the way, ma'am, I'm not an HR expert, and that is a whole bunch of HR violations right there, all right? Took his mistress to the Coldplay concert and got called out by the lead singer.
That is...
What a bunch of retards. Like, how are you going to be like, yes, we're going to go to a concert with thousands of other people and expect that nothing bad is going to happen to us? Look at them. Oh, shit. And he just ducks and thinks like, people are just going to turn when they see me ducking and you turning. That doesn't look conspicuous at all or suspicious at all. That's fine. Guys.
Like, okay, the ethics aside, because ethically you're both, I don't know if she's married too. I have no idea.
She got divorced a couple years ago.
So
he's married,
has
with
kids.
Yeah,
I know, that's all jacked up. So ethics aside, I mean, we no secret. Everybody knows that this whole situation is screwed up, and yeah, that family's derailed, which is the worst of the worst. But how stupid can you be to be? You know you're doing something jacked up. You know you're doing something screwed up. And of all places to go with this mistress to go have an affair, which you know top to bottom is screwed up, right? The fact that you obviously have a family, but also the fact this is supposed to be your head of HR for the company that you run. You go to a Coldplay concert and y'all hug, and they like y'all. You could at least pass it off as if y'all weren't hugging up on each other, right? You could at least pass it off as it's just business, or whatever. If y'all just like chilling, but you all hugged up and cuddly. It's just. I just don't know how people are bold these days, I guess.
It really is. It's like, it is almost impressive how bold they are. They just think that they're never going to get caught. In the day and age where everything is filmed, people have cell phones everywhere they go. Everyone picks up a cell phone and takes pictures or videos everywhere they go. And they think, I'm just going to go to a giant public place and we're going to be hugging all over each other and expect to not get caught. Now, I feel bad for the wife and kids.
Absolutely.
They didn't deserve this. But this guy 100% deserved to get caught. Apparently, whenever this woman was hired as HR last November, he said, Kristen's exceptional leadership and deep expertise in talent management, employee engagement, and scaling people strategies will be critical as we continue our rapid trajectory. She's a proven leader at multiple growth stage companies, and her passion for fostering diverse, collaborative workplaces makes her a perfect fit for astronomer.
Like I say, I just don't understand why you would do something so damn stupid.
Because she has deep expertise in talent management.
I bet so. I just can't wrap my mind around it. Like you.
It's her passion. For fostering collaborative.
Look, I get it. It's corporate, and I know there's a lot of weird stuff that happens among corporate entities in the workplace there. But I mean, just you look at that. I mean, you couldn't have wrote a better script than that for like a foul, dramatic show. That of all people that are shacking up is the CEO and the HR folk who is really supposed to be, I don't want to say supposed to be on the side of the employees, but you can see just how much of a conflict of interest that is. That your CEO is shacking up with the HR, the head of HR. Wow.
I'm going to leave you guys with this. From her LinkedIn, I lead by example and win trust with employees of all levels. I bet you do. She prides herself on creative, innovative systems and processes. I don't need to know any more details, Kristen, but you're fired.